When you take Scream and Back to the Future and put them together, you get a really good time. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Cinema Sermons. My name is Kevin, and today I'm going to be reviewing the brand new movie on Amazon Prime, Totally Killer. And the best way I can describe this movie is exactly what I just said. If you take Back to the Future and Scream and put them together, this is exactly what you get.
I'd like to report a crime that hasn't happened yet. Have you seen the movie Back to the Future? Basically, I'm living that movie right now, which is how I know there's gonna be a murder tonight.
Hate time travel movies. They never make any sense.
It is a horror comedy, a slasher comedy. So our main character, Jamie, her mom is played by Julie Bowen, whose friends were killed back in 1987. And she's always been worried that that killer is gonna come back and finish the job. And through a series of events, Jamie actually gets transported back in time to 1987, to the day when the killing spree begins. And she knows what's gonna happen, she's heard the stories, and she goes on this journey to save her mom's friends from what she knows is about to happen. But again, no one believes her because it's so crazy to say, hey, I'm from the future and I want to stop a crime that hasn't happened yet. A lot of hilarity ensues, and it ends up being a really good movie. So jumping into my positives, this movie maintains a very light and comedic tone throughout. I thought that was really good. A lot of slasher movies and things like that, they can get really dark. This movie doesn't really tend to do that. There are some gruesome scenes, but they're not over the top and they're not in your face too much. It does maintain a very light tone. I laughed a lot in this movie. There's actually a few scenes that made me laugh really hard. And it takes that idea of time travel, especially back to a time like 1987 from 2023, and it works with that really well because it points out some things that, yes, that were problematic in 1987. It points out those things where she's like, oh my gosh, you can't do that. And then there's a lot of other things where they're looking at her like, what's wrong with you? Like, get out of it. Like, what are you doing? So it pokes fun at both sides of how maybe in 2023 we're a little too sensitive, and maybe in 1987 they were a little too brutal. So it pokes fun at both those sides, and it actually creates for a lot of good commentary and a lot of good comedy as well. Like I said, I laughed. I thought it was funny. It's a joke, right? Don't get offended at a joke. But I thought the movie did really good with that. The movie focuses on the main characters and their character growth. So there's a lot of side characters that are exactly that. They're side characters. They don't really get much growth or development, but you don't really care about that because the ones that it decides to focus in on is really good. The bond between Jamie and her mom as a high schooler when they're the same age in 1987, the way that builds, I actually thought worked really well.
Oh my God, Mom.
And Jamie's best friend in modern day, her mom, was a kid in 1987, so Jamie actually goes and befriends her, and they end up becoming really good friends, and it just creates this whole time paradox thing, but it works really well. Like I said, the characters it chooses to focus in on, it does really well, and the side characters don't really get that much character growth or development, but you don't really care because they're exactly that. They're side characters. A lot of the jokes land when they're supposed to land, and like I said, it maintains a light and comedic tone. And it's always just fun with that murder mystery whodunit where you're trying to peg, okay, who is this killer? Jumping into my negatives, a lot of times when you do Back to the Future type movies and time travel movies, a lot of things don't make sense, and this movie is no exception to that. So if you try to make sense of a concept like time travel, it's not really gonna go well. But there were a few things where I'm like, I don't even understand that. I don't think that makes sense logically, but I just turn my brain off and have a good time. I was able to peg who the killer was pretty easily, and I'm not gonna say much more than that because I don't wanna give spoilers away, but like I said, if you take Back to the Future and Scream and put them together, this is what you get. So, but it's not just like Scream, so I'm not gonna say any more without any spoilers, so, but I was able to peg the killer from the jump. Any hoosers, I digress. Overall, I thought this was a really fun movie. It really does a good job of hammering home that idea of love your loved ones and tell them that you love them. And a lot of these things that are big deals to us really aren't a big deal because you really don't know when your last day is. And that is even something that Jesus tells us. He's like, hey, you don't even know what tomorrow is gonna bring, so just worry about today. And so I think that movie did a really good job of hammering that point home. It has emotion when it wants to have emotion. It has laughs when it wants to have laughs. I thought it was pretty good.
The machines kill us all. No,
They more just rip apart the fabric of our society via dance videos on TikTok.
they use dance against us.
Would I recommend this to a Christian audience? You just need to know what's right for you. Like I said, there are some very crude jokes, there are some very crass jokes, a lot of sexual jokes, and there is about 2 gruesome scenes. If that's too much for you, then go ahead and stay away from this movie. But if you're someone who won't really get offended by that and you can sit down and enjoy this movie, then I don't think it was really that bad. So you just got to know what is right for you, and yeah, pray about it. Like I said, it's not a deeply offensive movie, but I'm not gonna, go tell my pastor to watch it. Overall, I'm gonna give this movie a 7 out of 10. If I would've gave it a letter grade, it would get a solid B. I thought this movie was enjoyable. It was a really good time. And yeah, if you got some time to kill over off of Amazon Prime, go ahead and watch this movie, man. Let me know down in the comments, what did you think of Totally Killer? Plus, the 1980s was just the greatest decade of all time, dude. You put any movie where they go back to the 80s, I'm there every time, man. The music, the movies, chicks with big teased up hair, Phoebe Cates. 1980s was the greatest decade of all time, dude. So I'm always about a time travel movie that takes us back to the 80s, because I want to time travel and go back to the 80s, man. Anyway, I digress. But anyway, that is my review for Totally Killer. Let me know down below in the comments, what did you think of Totally Killer? Have you seen it? Are you gonna see it? Is this one that's for you? Or are you gonna go ahead and skip it? Please let me know down in the comments. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. It helps out the channel tremendously. And remember, I love you. Jesus loves you. That's our story, and we're sticking to it. See you guys.